Yo, what's good? Sorry we're a few minutes late, some technical difficulties, but we here. This your boy JTL, and I got my boy on here, HD. Say what's up to the people, man.
What's up? What's up? It's HD.
All right, and we are out from the North 18. Got a good video for y'all. We're gonna talk about some things. My boy said, yo, we need to talk about this. So, H, you ready? Go ahead, let the people know what you want to talk about, man.
Yeah, we're just gonna get into this recent developments with Imi Udoku. Sorry if I pronounced his name incorrectly. The head coach of the Boston Celtics. I know it's been all over the news the last couple of days. What's been going on? To put in a nutshell, he's been suspended for the entire upcoming year by the Boston Celtics for breaking policies by him having allegedly having relations or relationship with another employee. So they went ahead and suspended him for the entire year. Is making a lot of headline news because he's the fiance of actress Nia Long, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on the court wise and off the court wise, which is why I wanted to talk about this. And of course, it's dealing with black women and black men. So that's always a topic of choice. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Now, as I said, he's been suspended for the entire year. They also said that they could go further than just suspending him for this year. And as I was talking to my boy about before we got on the show, there's some new developments that I didn't even know about. Initially, they were saying that it was a relationship he had with one person, but now they're saying there may be two people that he had relations with. One of the supposedly, allegedly, one of the coaches, one of the female assistants, and also supposedly he may have had a relationship with the wife of one of the VPs of the team. And allegedly they this particular VP may have hired a private investigator to quote unquote follow around the wife and see what she was doing, and then it comes to light that she was messing with Adoku, who is the coach. So homeboy was dipping into two different women allegedly, and one of them, as I said, is the wife of a top level VP. So you know that definitely ruffled some feathers within the team. And they said that there's going to be more information coming out, even more than this. So it kind of looks like to me they just giving him a soft landing for them to be able to just outright fire him coming up in the future.
Well, I was just wondering. I saw something, but I didn't get a chance to check it out. They said Nia had something to say about the whole situation, but I didn't get a chance to really see the video
Yeah,
yet. Did you hear what she had to say?
she released a post, and this post was just a bunch of talking in circles. It was like she was trying to say some kind of poem or something, and it really didn't give any information on which way she going, left or right, up or down. It didn't really get into anything, but we did find out that, you know, he told her kind of last minute. He told her like right before the news was about to get out to the entire world. So she's just getting wind of this too. But supposedly this information had been known back in July, and they were just doing the rest of their background work before they put everything out. And they said recently, it's either within the last couple of weeks or last month or whatever, that Nia Long and their son, because they do share a son together, um, was going to be moving out to Boston, and they were going to be house hunting, you know, so that Nia and the son can move to Boston. So who knows if this, you know, revelation is going to stall that or make it go in a different way or whatever. But you know, she is getting a lot of limelight right now for something that I'm sure is ugly in her eyes. And, you know, you got all the sisters telling her to hold her head and, girl, you going to come out of this on top and, you know, all that jazz. So,
Mm.
you know, it's coming in swarms, and they down in a brother, which, you know, as I said before, it's sad that, once we get all the information, because a lot of this is just speculation, but once we get all the info, the bottom line is it's just real sad that this brother basically is derailing what was looking like a promising coaching career over some females. And, a lot of times brothers, either go to prison, lose their life, or lose their job over a female. And I just think that it's sad that, especially when you are a high profile person like him and you are a coach of a high profile franchise like the Boston Celtics, that he would even risk this, because it's not a lot of brother head coaches in the NBA to begin with. So it's crazy that he would risk this opportunity, just to be chasing these women, especially if it's true that he was messing with the wife of a VP. That's even more dirty.
Man, then you said earlier that from what you've seen, the women that allegedly he did this with wasn't all that good looking. So that make it
I just,
even worse. I'm just saying that make it even worse if you throwing this away just to do something. It's like, why can't you just like call a service? I say that all the time. Just call a service. Why
you
are
say that all
y'all
the time.
risking it all when you could just do something discreet and just call a service? Because all these connections, Neil may not want him to still be there. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, even if they give him another chance, she may not want him around these women no more. And you said something else about it being a one-way situation or a one-way accountability. Talk about the fact that he's the only person being held accountable for what happened.
Yeah, from what I read earlier, because this is, everything is still up in the air because it's moving real fast and information is coming out every hour, every day. But it looks like he's going to be the only person disciplined in this scenario. So even if he was messing with one or two women within the organization, just he's going to be getting punishment, and allegedly not these women. And I just don't understand how, if he's being punished for breaking team policy and team codes, why wouldn't these women be disciplined as well? Because if it says that you can't have relations with a coworker in any capacity, why wouldn't the women get disciplined as well, and not just him?
Real quick before I say something to that, got my boy Hurricane in the building. He said, "What up? What's good with you, bro?" The crazy thing about it, I wonder, was it like a one-way situation for him? Like, did they say that that's supposed to be that way for everybody who signs a contract, or is it not necessarily saying?
Yeah, see, that's the thing that's up in the air, and I'll admit on my end, I'll have to do some more homework on that. But um, the thing that was striking me also with that is, you know, there have been some people who have been coming out, like Matt Barnes. People know Matt Barnes from Up in Smoke podcast with him and Steven Jackson, and from his NBA career. And he was saying that he was retracting some of his words because, by him being in the NBA all those years and having connections, he got some information, personal information, told to him, and he was like, "Oh, so there's more information that's going to be coming out that may make it look even worse for Ime Udoka." So he had to take back his words because he was kind of standing in his corner, but the information he got was kind of like, "Whoa, maybe you don't need to stand in his corner." So there's even more information that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks or so that may be damning for him. But the confusion that came on my end was the whole consensual thing, because at first we were hearing it was consensual, and now we're hearing that he was making comments or suggestions toward, one of these females, and it wasn't reciprocated, as if he was, harassing her. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but I'm just using those words, like harassing her or trying to, give advances to her that she wasn't welcoming. So that's the part that I really can't wait to see and hear about, if these relationships were consensual, or if they're just going to try to say that he was just trying to get at them and they weren't paying him any attention.
Well, from what we seen, and we like we say, the y'all can say pause if you want to, so pause. Brother not a bad looking guy. Then he's a coach. So we know how in a place like Boston, they take sports serious. Like, so if you're a head coach of the Celtics or the Patriots, I guess you got your pick of the litter. So it seems like maybe dude allegedly got a little too ahead of himself and he worried about all the box he can get and whatever. But it's like, okay, first of all, like Eddie Griffin said back in the day, you don't F down, you F up. So I guess his F up was the vice
Preach it,
president
preach it.
was the vice president's wife or whatever, the
Oh,
VP's wife.
let us add that uh the wife that we're speaking of is what color? White. So that's
Mm,
going to play a key role as well. You got to remember that there's a difference when it comes to if somebody's messing with a black woman and a white. Go ahead.
white woman. Uh, so ain't no telling if she gonna do the whole Mandingo slave masters wife thing where they would mess with one of the slaves and then say he did such and such. We ain't gonna even say that word, but the R word, you know what it is. So seems like they messed up. And I remember you asked me a question earlier because we talked about this a while back before, just about her not getting married. So they've been together about 10, 15 years and just now talking about getting married. So it seems like a lot of females these days are doing things like that. Now, back then, if the woman wasn't working and the guy was working and no marriage came about it, yeah, we can kind of just say the man, but this falls on the women nowadays, these modern women. So they don't want to get married like they used to no more. So I think that plays into it. You got someone like Oprah Winfrey who been with Stedman since like we've been born. You know what I'm saying? They've been together for almost 40 years and they still ain't married. They still ain't got no kids. She didn't want to do that. She's a great quote unquote auntie and godmother and all that, but she didn't want to get married or nothing like that. So that's what we're seeing more nowadays. So what you think about that? Because I know you asked me that question, but what you think about the fact that they've been together 10, 15 years and just now talking about getting married?
Well, on his end, that's kind of good, because once you sign those papers and then can get into talking about somebody taking half or 50% or 60% and getting that, that's of course if they don't sign a prenup. But on his end, I would say that's a smart business move. But I, have always been under the impression that that was the goal if you're in a long-term relationship with someone, and then on top of that they have a child. And we have a lot of conversations about black families, and black families being together, staying together, and if they're going to be sharing a home, which that some of the words that we heard that they're were home shopping in Boston. You have a man and a woman, and this child being in a home together, but the parents aren't married. I know we're living in a different day and age where, from a lot of what I see, marriage is kind of frowned upon by the younger
Mm.
generation. It's frowned upon, but back when we were coming up, that was looked upon in the opposite way. You wasn't really wanting to be having all these babies and not having that family dynamic and not being married. That word we used to hear all the time, bastard. You wanted your child to come into this world to married parents, but
Yeah,
we
secure.
def
Yep.
we definitely don't see that anymore now in today's time. So a lot of people have been bringing that up, like they've been together all these years, engaged for what, 4 or 5 years. I really don't understand the purpose of being engaged for 4 or 5 years. It's either you're gonna get married or you ain't. Why even go to the engagement step if you're not planning to get married? And if you are being engaged, you being engaged for 5 years, that's half a decade.
But
What
don't
what
forget, they also
what's going
scare
on?
women to not get married. You never know this gonna happen, get a divorce and all that. But it's like women are not scared to get knocked up by dudes. And I made a video on that before. That is still technically like being married. Like you're attached at the hip. You have a child. That's not something that you can just push away. You still got to see each other on holidays, birthdays,
You
graduation.
got to see
If
each
they
other
get
for
a
the rest of your
family,
life.
yeah. So you still gonna be around because ain't nobody about to separate everything and do two birthdays, two holidays, two graduation parties and graduations all the time just because you ain't comfortable around your ex. That's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they can talk about the crap all they want, make it seem like you need to be afraid of that, but then you need to be afraid both ways. So that's the one thing I will say I don't trip on when it comes to women not wanting to necessarily have kids, especially if they're not married or nothing like that. So I get that part, but it's just crazy how they make it seem like it's a worse thing to be married versus actually, you know what I'm saying, having kids and not being married. That's like the dumbest thing ever.
Nowadays, it seems like being married is like the boogeyman. Like they
Yeah,
make it seem like it's
yeah.
this scary thing. But if you're in a so-called committed relationship and you want to be with just this one person, I mean, what are you doing? And this
Mhm.
isn't a situation, because of course I read a lot of things, you see people's opinions and thoughts. This is definitely not a situation where, because everyone's putting emphasis on Neil Long being a celebrity. No disrespect, because I'm not even an actor myself, but as I heard one brother say, let's not pretend like Neil Long is an A-list actress. She's not an
Right.
A-list
Yeah.
actress, so I'm not going to get into levels because this particular person says she's a C-list actress. I don't know if she's B, C, or D,
Well nowadays
but
nowadays I would say a C list. Like back then I give her like a B minus back then, B minus actress
right,
back then.
this isn't a situation where it's like, oh, he came up off of her, because he is a former NBA player. No, he was not a star. He was a role player, but being in the NBA, period, even if you're coming off the bench, that's an accomplishment. And
Right.
he was in the
Yeah.
league. He was in the league for a minute, and then he worked his way up, through the ranks, assistant coaching and coaching. So he came up. You know what I'm saying? He's not someone that rode her coattails to fame. He did it the hard way. So this isn't one of those
Mhm.
situations where we could just say, "Oh, well, he rode her coattails to fame." No, he
Yeah,
got
because
it.
that's a
You
legendary
know,
team. Like we know like what we're gonna do, compare Nia Long to the Boston Celtics. Like there's no comparison. So
yeah, there's
everybody's
no
gonna know who
comparison.
he is versus her. Like even if say they didn't know who her fiance was, and they be like, "Well, who her fiance was," and they be like, "I think it's the coach of the Boston Celtics." Oh, you mean such as you know what I'm saying? People gonna already know, or just that name with that franchise alone is gonna carry more weight than somebody who's like a C minus actress right now. It ain't a diss her, but it's just she's not Angelina Jolie. Like that's just reality. You know what I'm saying? So it's
She
it's
ain't
it's no
Beyonce in them.
disrespect. Yeah, it's not.
And how we're going to touch on this too. How do you feel about what they're allegedly saying about now? Of course, everything changes daily. So if we say this by tomorrow, the story may be different. But the word about it may have perhaps been one of the players being the snitch in one of the situations. Now, like I was saying earlier, allegedly, when it comes to the VP in that situation, there was some kind of private investigator that was done. But when the news was first breaking, they were saying allegedly one of the players was the guilty party in being a snitch. So how do you feel about one of his players that plays on his team that he's been coaching doing the dirty work and being a rat?
I think the only thing that could come out of that is something. It's some kind of situation that they had towards each other. Um, Now it depends. Like, say if it's a player that's closer to the VP than the coach, then it could be a situation like that. But we all know usually when that happens is because somebody was feeling some type of way. They felt wrong and overlooked, disrespected or something. So that's why they thought that they should go do some stupid bitch ass shit like that. That's just like I told you earlier with Garrett Owen and this and allegedly Pierre the comedian is the one that dropped down on Gary Owen doing what he was doing with the side chick to his kids. So we know that's some bitch ass shit. So most likely we know the reason why it happened was that. Unless it comes out like, yo, that was wrong because I'm closer to him and I go to his family gatherings all the time and I felt like this was a friend of mine. That's a different situation. But we know majority of the time that ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the same thing as Magic being friends with Jerry West or something like that. Like we know that type of dynamic relationship. So it's some bitch ass shit on who whatever player that did that. I mean, I'm sure we can agree on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. That's some high school hoe ass shit. So I can't even if they had some kind of disagreement, whatever it could have been, practice, playing time, you took me out the game. I don't agree with the way your coaching philosophy is, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be. That man's personal life is his personal life. If he, we can go back and forth about what people beliefs are about being monogamous, cheating, and all that, but that's his business. That has nothing to do with you. Unless he was sleeping with your woman, then okay, but this had nothing to do with if one of these players did. I think that's the ultimate hoe move. Definitely.
We know that's
Definite hoe
exactly
move.
what it is. Uh, I mean, unless you got something else you want to say on this, we can wrap it up till next time.
I just really hope that we say this all the time that this is a lesson for young brothers. It don't even have to be, in the basketball world, acting world, just anywhere. If you in any type of position of power and you know that by messing with a female, it can harm your career, your money, whatever,
Mhm.
just think what the old people say, think with the big head instead of the little head, because
For
this
real.
man has gotten himself in a world of trouble. It's going to be more news coming out as we go, and this man may have like tarnished his whole. What if they do the little blackballing thing to him after this? What if it becomes
Yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
where no other team wants to touch him? He just may have to settle for assistant coaching jobs. And what if he never gets another head coaching job ever again? He gonna look back and be like, "Yo, I blew this opportunity with one of the most storied franchises in NBA history over some females, and we don't even
Especially if
know."
he loses woman
Right, losing his
and his
job, his
family.
woman,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
all that, because he came out and made a public apology. So we know his son. I don't know the exact age, but we know his son isn't 2 3 years old. So his son is at an age where he could see if this affects the mother. He could be of age where he can read this stuff himself and hear this stuff. So it's affecting his child too. Like he's someone, when you in the limelight like that, you definitely have to move differently and you have to have a different mind set. So if you want to be out there swinging around with different women, just don't be married. Don't be in a relationship. And then you won't have to worry about catching any of this ridicule. And definitely do not mess with nobody that work with you. Period.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth none of these females, no matter what color, race, stature, whatever, it's not worth you giving up your career over them. Because guess what? When you get thrown in the trash, they're gonna be on to the next person. And you're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
forgotten about. So yeah,
Yep.
I just hope this is a lesson to, even brothers that's our age, be careful and don't let no female cost you your livelihood.
Yep. That's real talk. That's what we try to tell y'all young dudes, men in general. I mean, especially around our age and older, that's not something we should have to tell you. We see examples all the time, especially when it came out about Bill Gates and then him ending up having to get a divorce, or Jeff Bezos and all of this stuff. So you have to be careful, man. Especially if you're in a situation where you ain't got money like that, you can lose a lot more than you have at that time. So this your boy JTL, my boy HD. This never
Yep,
been
yep, yep.
another episode of Out from the North. Make sure y'all stay tuned. You never know when we might pop out and do a live. You know what I'm saying? I definitely got my lives going on Thursday, 8 p.m. Y'all definitely check that out. But stay tuned, man. You never know what it might be. You know what I'm saying? We out.